So today we are going to start with chapter C++ and the PDF I'll share it with you very soon because the number of pages are higher in this chapter, so I have to still capture those pages. So I'll just present my screen with you. Here's the PDF for chapter 3 C++ programming. So this is chapter 3 C++ programming. As we all are already familiar with C++ programming. Few concepts with C++ programming in 11th standard we had studied. But in 11th standard we had studied the basics of C++. We had not touched the concepts of object-oriented programming. As we know, C++ is object-oriented programming, but we had not seen any concepts based on OOPS, object-oriented programming. So in C++, in this chapter, we will not touch upon the topics which we had learned in 11th. We will learn new concepts which is based on object-oriented programming. So let's begin. In this chapter, we will now see the concept behind object-oriented programming, C++ as OOP. The short for object-oriented programming is OOPS, and some of the striking features of OOP. Different features of OOPS we are going to learn. When programmer is given a complex program, he follows different programming styles to tackle. So what this sentence here means, it means that when a programmer starts a programming, there is a problem given to the programmer and depending on the problem, the programmer starts the programming. So various programming styles are available that programmer chooses to follow. So what are these styles? Here they are mentioned in this topic, programming approaches. In programming approaches, the four programming approaches, the four different programming styles are here. Unstructured programming, procedural programming, modular programming, and object-oriented programming. So in the start, while starting with the programming, the programmer chooses which programming style he or she has to follow. So first is unstructured programming. Let us see what's written in unstructured programming and what it means. The main program. So when we had written the C++, we have learned C++ programming, okay, in 11th standard. So if you remember, there is a main function. Main function, I'm just recapping. Main function is used to the execution of the program starts from the main function. This you should keep in mind. The execution of the program always starts from the main function, no matter what you have written before main function and after main function. So the main program, so it's talking about the main program directly operates on global data. This global data is not a new term for you. Global data, if you remember the scope of a variable, we had studied in 11th standard. The scope of a variable is limited to a function. The local data and global data, this we had studied. Global data means the data which is available throughout the program. It is available till the program ends. If I have declared a variable in a function, so the scope of the function is local to the function. When I am declaring any data, any variable outside any function, then that variable is global. The scope of that variable is global. So I'm just revising it. These terms you are familiar with: main program, global data. Here main program stands for a sequence of commands or statements, of course, within the function. Main program means function in which we write sequence of instructions. For example, what I want to do is to take input from the user and print the number on the output screen. So I'll declare a variable I'm talking about C++. I'll declare int a. I'll print to print I will use C out. To take input I will use C in, and then to print the number which I have taken as input from the user I will use C out. So these are nothing but sequence of commands or statements, we can say, which modify the data. So it's modifying the value of variable a, you can say, which is global throughout the whole program. But as you here, C++ is not unstructured programming. Actually, C++ is not unstructured programming. Assembly programming language, which we saw in CS2, is an example of unstructured programming. So what's the difference here is, what happens if I'm storing a value in accumulator, for example 22, and I perform add instruction. I hope you remember what is add instruction. Add instruction. See, for example, this is an instruction add b. It means a is equal to a plus b. So what happens? The contents of accumulator and the contents of B register will be added and the result will be stored in accumulator itself. So just assume that in A is equal to 23 is stored. Of course, if this is hexadecimal, H you have to specify there. So 23, and just assume that in B 11 is stored, 11H. So 23 plus 11 will give whatever the result is going to give. So A is equal to will be 24.
Ma'am, 34.
Yeah, 34, sorry. So what happened? Actually, the real value of accumulator was 23, but after performing add instruction, A has become is equal to 34. So this data is lost because this is global. This is global. This is used in the entire program till the program ends. So here, which modify the data. Now you understand what it means. It modifies the data, the global data, which is global throughout the whole program. This programming techniques generates tremendous problems once the program gets sufficiently large. So I hope you know you have understood what's the meaning of unstructured programming, in which the data is global and the data keeps on modifying, and it might create complexity for managing the program and to
And so,
understand the program at later stage.
how much data can we give it to them
Like
for
for
no pro?
example,
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't understand your question.
I didn't understand unstructured programming. That we
Okay.
give a data, global data, but it changes into
Yeah.
local data. Then what is the point of the global data if it's not applicable anymore?
Global data in, have you seen the assembly language program, the practical one which I had discussed?
Yes, ma'am.
So in that, if I'm using this example, for example, I'm using this instruction. The value of accumulator was 23, but after performing this instruction, A has become 34. This data is lost. Why it is lost? Because it is global. It is used throughout the program. And it keeps on modifying. So it will be difficult for you for keeping the track of what was the value of accumulator at a particular statement, at the particular stage. Now it got clear to you.
Yes, ma'am.
This is unstructured programming. Acha, you were asking what's the use of assembly language program, because this language is understood by machines. It is not high level language. It is machine language.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, second is procedural programming. The example which we had seen, till now the programs which we have seen in C++ are the example of procedural programming. I hope you remember what we had studied in 11th. For example, other than main function, we can have multiple functions. For
Yes.
example, I'll tell you what. Uh, for example, I have created a function add function. Okay, in add function, I will declare a variable int a and b variable. These are the two variables. I will take input from the user for the values of a and b. Wait, I'll just type it here. Hash include, so this I will not revise this hash include and all. What I'm trying to say here is I will declare a variable main function. Okay, sorry, not main, I want to use add function. Within add, I will declare a variable a comma b semicolon. I hope you are recalling it. Whatever I'm saying, I hope you are able to remember. So what I'll do, cin, fine, I'll explain everything. Just to recap, IOStream is used for what? For using cout and cin. Hash include conio.h is used for using
CLR, SCR,
yes,
and
CLR, STR and
get CH.
getch function. These are inbuilt function. I am able to directly use these functions from this header file conio.h. See, these are the basics we had learned in C++. So this hash include is known as preprocessor directive. Preprocessor means anything which I want the compiler to process in advance, to interpret in advance, because the functions which are in the file iostream.h I want to use, so if I want to use, it should be processed in advance. For example, from the file I want to use function getch, so it should be processed in advance. That's why the term given preprocessor. So this hash include is known as preprocessor directive. Okay, this we have learned in 11th in detail. I'm just recapping. Okay, so here's the function int add function, and I have declared two variables inside this add function, which is int a comma b, and then what we will do, we'll take input from the user for the variable a and for the variable b. So enter numbers.
Cout होता है ना?
To take input, I'm not printing. I'm taking input
Okay.
from the user, cin. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
then what we have to do is, yeah, this cin, enter numbers a and b semicolon. Then cout. The numbers are a and b. Yeah, here we'll print the numbers close the function, and I had told you that execution of the program always starts from the main function. So no matter what you have written before main function or after main function, the execution of the program will always start from main function. Within the main function, I will call add function, getch, and this is closed. Main function is closed. So actually what's going to happen is this main function, the execution of the program always starts from the main function. So the compiler will directly come to the main function, and within this main function, what is there? This function is calling add function. So here the add function will be called, and here two variables int a comma b. So whatever is written in the main function will be executed, and after when this function will be closed, it will be back to the main function. And after add function, what is there? Getch. Getch will is used to hold the output screen. If you will not use the getch, you won't be able to see the output screen. All these things I have taught you before. And we use CLR, SCR to clear the screen, to clear the output screen. And when I'm using int as a data type for add function, then it should return some value. Since here I'm just inputting the data from the user and I'm printing the values of variables a and b, then it's going to return 0. Why 0? Because I'm not performing any addition a plus b and it's going to return variable c. No, it's just printing the number. It is taking input from the user and printing the number. It's not returning anything. So whenever you use int as a data type for a function, it should return a value. So let me save it. See, we can write the C++ code in Notepad, and then we can compile the same in Turbo C++. I'll tell you how. So I have given the name of the file as example1, and the extension of the file should be .cpp. You have to specify the extension of the file, otherwise it will take the default extension of the file as .txt. So you have to specify .cpp. So I'll save it, and I've saved it here. I'll copy this file which I have created, example1.cpp. I'll copy it and go in the C drive, where I will find a file of Turbo C. Therein I'll go in bin folder, and within the bin folder I'll save this file. Can you see this? I will copy the file. Here it is copied, example1. And what I'll do, I'll run the Turbo C++. It will open in a while. See, I'll start Turbo C++. I'll open the file which I have copied in the bin folder. That file you can see here, example1.cpp. Okay, I'll compile it. Let us see, is there any error? So no errors, no warnings. Let us see the output for this. First thing is enter two numbers. The numbers are, wait, there is some problem.
Ma'am,
Yes.
you have written enter numbers after CN. Shouldn't we write C out enter numbers then CN AB?
No, 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 no.
वो चलता है ना मैम.
That's fine.
Ma'am, because the first value 25 gave when to I think enter numbers like variable something.
Yes, correct. Correct. This I have to print na. Correct. And then I will use CIN.
Ma'am, for C out we use the other bracket.
Yes, I'm correcting that. Now let's see whether we get the output. Enter numbers 23 and 45, and the numbers it is printing, the numbers are 23 and 45. So this we have learned in 11th standard. What is this hash include iostream.h? It's a preprocessor directive. Why it is known as preprocessor directive? Because I want to process the contents which are in the header file iostream.h. Why? Because I'm able to use cin and cout objects of class iostream.h. So before using this, it should be pre-processed in advance. It should be processed in advance. And if I want to use CLR and SCR, CLR, SCR and getch, I need to use connew.h. Why? Because these functions are all, like for example, in add function, I had to define the task this add function is going to perform. But the CLR, the task of CLR SCR function is already defined in the header file connew.h. I only have to call this function. I don't have to define this function. Here I had to define this add function. But I don't have to define the CLR SCR because it is already defined in the header file connew.h. This is built-in function. It is stored in the library. I don't have to create it. I only have to call it. Okay. So I had told you again, I am recapping what I had told. The execution of the program always starts from the main function. Okay, so this is the main function, and this here if I'll not use CLR SCR, what will happen? Just see, I have not used CLR SCR. I'll compile it and run it. See, can you see the previous output? When I had run this program, this was the input I had given and this was the output. So if I don't want this, I want my output screen to be clean and only it should show the current output. That time we should use CLR SCR. Okay, that's why we use CLR SCR. And getch, let's see what happens if I don't use getch. I'll compile it and I'll run it. See, the output screen is clean because of CLR SCR. Sorry, here it is able to getch. I don't know, here it's able to catch the output screen, but sometimes it is not able to hold the output screen. I'll show you that example somewhere else. Here it is not making any difference. Wait, I'll check it once again. See, last output, was I able to see? See, last output, this, the numbers are, was I able to see? Again, I will run it. 32, 67. I'm not able to see this output. The numbers are. Why? Because I have not used get character. It is used to hold the output screen. Okay. Now I will run 32, 45. So I'm able to see the output. So that's why getch is used. I hope I'm able to recap the basics of C++. So let's continue where we had left. Here, procedural programming. Now, what is procedural programming? Same example I will take, which same programming I will take. Here, this is known as procedure. From the main function, I am calling the add function. So procedures are nothing but functions. So what is procedural programming? So I hope you know the term procedure. Procedural. The main program, here void main is the main program, coordinates calls to procedures. Coordinates calls to the procedure. If you'll see here in the example we just saw, the main function was calling add function. So it is coordinating calls to the procedures. Here the main function is coordinating calls to add function and hand over appropriate data as parameters. As we know, we can pass parameters to a function. We can pass parameters to a function. This also we have studied in 11th standard. Instead of writing this here, what I want is, I will declare the two variables here, a comma b. C, C out enter the numbers. Enter the numbers. Slash n is for new line. That is, whatever I am going to write next should be in a new line. Semicolon, C in, A and B semicolon. So let us see the output. Here we'll have to erase this. So let's see the output. 23, 45. The output, sorry, I will pass these numbers. I'll pass this int a comma int b to add function. See, the output is same. Enter the numbers 23, 56. The numbers are 23 and 56. So here I am passing variable a and variable b as parameters to this function. From this main function, I am passing the value of a and value of b to add function. Now is this clear? So what is happening is, The main program coordinates calls to procedures, and so the main program is calling which procedure here? Add function. And hand over appropriate data as parameters. So here A and B were parameter. The values of A and B were hand over to the function add. A single program which is divided into small pieces, called procedures. So this program was divided into two functions, main functions and add function. A program can have multiple procedures, multiple functions. Here we had seen a program in which only one function was used, which is add. It can have multiple procedures, multiple functions also. This we have learned in 11th also, multiple functions, which is divided into small pieces called procedures. So now you know what is procedural programming. So this is known as procedural programming. Next is modular programming. So to explain modular programming also, it will take time. So I hope it's clear to you what is unstructured programming and procedural programming.
I have doubt in procedural programming.
Yeah, what's the doubt?
I didn't understand procedural programming.
Okay, I'll explain it to you again. Here in previous example, I've made changes to this. In previous example, I had declared the variable a and variable b in the add function. But in this program, what I have done is I have declared a variable a and variable in b function, and I have passed the value of a and b as parameters to the add function. This is clear to you?
So that add function in the second function will be going to int address of a and int address of b.
Value of this a will be copied into this, and value of b will be copied into this.
Okay, ma'am.
So these actually you are going in depth. We had learned reference variables, you remember? Pass by
Yes, ma'am.
reference, pass by value. So we don't have to go there for now. I just wanted to tell you that we can pass parameters to the function.
So
Is it
that is
clear to you?
procedural programming. So that is
In
procedural
Yeah,
programming.
in procedural programming, what happens? The main functions calls the procedure and the parameters are passed to that procedure. That is known as procedural programming.
Okay,
A
okay.
program can have multiple functions. Okay,
Yes, ma'am. Understand.
so it's clear to you unstructured programming and procedural programming. So in next lecture, I will start with modular programming. Okay, I'll continue from the modular programming, and I want you to just go through what we had learned in 11th standard, so that it will not be a jargon to you. So you just go through. I'm not asking you to spend 1 hour 2 hours, no, just go through what you had learned, so it will be easy for you to recall. Okay, so we will stop here for today.